It's time to feel the rage. Welcome to Film Rage, where we talk movies in theaters, streaming, and classic films as well. Directors and actors, beware as you cannot hide from the rage. My name is Bryce and I'm part of Film Rage crew, which also includes Jim. Hey there, Jim.
Hey, Bryce.
And no Murman. Where's Murman?
Murman is at the Calgary Stampede, slugging his guts out on the stage.
What's a Calgary Stampede? Never heard of it.
It is the greatest outdoor show on earth.
According to who?
And according to the people that run the Calgary Stampede.
Ah, well, that seems like a bit of a biased opinion.
Yes, but you know what's
Full
more...
disclosure, I've been to the Calgary Stampede. It's not the greatest show on
outdoor show
on earth.
It's not the greatest any show.
No.
But you know what? It might be this year because guess what?
What?
Murman gets to wear when he's on stage because he's kind of a background person.
Right.
He's wearing a tight black leotard. So we're going to get huge Murman package. He's going to look like David Bowie in Labyrinth, Murman style.
Huh. That's worth the price of admission alone.
Exactly. It could be the greatest outdoor show on earth.
It might be with the Merman in a onesie.
Yeah. I'm going every night.
There we go. All right, so with the introductions out of the way, let's rage on.
Wow. Thanks for all who've been supporting us. If you love our independent podcast, please like, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star rating on your listening platform. Or, even better, join the Film Rage community by joining your membership at buymeacoffee.com/FilmRageYYC. And if you cannot commit to a membership, you can still buy us a movie rental and dare us to see a terrible film. And we'll watch it if it played anywhere in the world in a cinema. That's the only rule. Anywhere. Even once, even if it was paid by the director, which Bryce has had to watch to play his movie in a movie theater, we will watch it. Now, let's get to raging.
Get to raging. Get to some Merman predictions.
Yo, let's do that. Well, that's part of the raging.
I suppose.
What would amazing Merman predict? What would amazing Merman predict? Will he predict the rage or will he predict the mondo? Will he tell us all what Jim and Bryce saw at the movies last week in cinemas? Here he comes swimming to you. Swim, Murray, swim, Murray.
Swim, Murray, swim.
Swim, Murray, swim, Murray.
Swim, Murray, swim.
Swim, Murray, swim, Murray.
Swim, Murray.
All right, so even though the Merman can't show up, that's my best British accent.
Can't show up.
Because Murray can't shut up. No, can't show up.
Yes.
He's given us his predictions.
Right.
And these are the 5 movies that Bryce and Bryce luckily was able to see all of them, as was I, in cinemas.
Yes.
So we saw Kinds of Kindness, which, you know, we probably should have a lists episode because I think that's Yorgos' his 8th film.
Is it?
I think.
I don't think it is.
But we'll go through that.
I think it might be
you know what?
7.
We'll throw in a list segment even though we didn't have time because we saw 5 movies.
Right.
Quiet Place Day 1, Horizon Part 1, Protocol 7, not 1, it's Protocol 7, and Daddio. So, Kinds of Kindness, he said Bryce will be a Mondo and Jim will be a Mondo.
Mm-hmm.
He put Quiet Place Day 1, Bryce a Rage, and Jim a Meh.
Mm-hmm.
For Horizon Part 1, this is a surprise to me because it's the great Kevin Costner. He guessed Rage and Rage for both of us.
Wow.
And then Protocol 7, he put double Meh because he wasn't sure if you were going to get to it.
Oh.
And then Daddio.
He was doing so well.
And then he did Daddio,
Yeah.
both of us Mondo.
Wow.
That's not how you say wow.
Wow.
That's better.
It's like Owen Wilson was in the...
It's almost like he's here with us. It was first... Before we turned the podcast on, Bryce was doing his greatest impression of Bob Dylan, and now he's doing his greatest Owen Wilson impression. It's like a variety show today.
It's nice. Wow. That was nice timing. I don't know. It started again. Maybe we need to listen to the whole thing.
Nah. There we go. Oh, that's better. It's louder. What amazing man predicts?
All right.
What amazing man predicts?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this music.
Mm.
You know what? This may be a shock to you, but I also love you.
Yeah, it's not a shock.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So we're going to talk about kinds of kindness. So, first off, the Murr gave us his review because
Oh yeah, Murr saw this.
We saw this. Started at, I think, 10:15 at night.
I think we got out
and
about 3 in the morning.
1:20, or I think we got home at like 2 in the morning after we did it was like a road trip of Calgary. So, you all wanted to know what a version of Tales from the Crypt or Twilight Zone reimagined by Yorgos Lanthimos was. Well, this is it. With 3 different but equally funny, ironic, and body horror-ridden stories, with each of the 3 stories all having the same cast in each, all playing very different roles that stretch each of their acting chops like rubber bands. They have a single piano-based soundtrack that pulls them all together with suspense, surprise, and at times filled me with pure glee. Now, story 1, as an employee where their job is to do everything his boss says. Kind of sounds like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like everybody. But this is a little different. Such as what he eats for breakfast, when and what time he fucks his wife, and even hospitalize and kill someone because he just asked him to do it. But for doing these things, he gets a mansion, fabulous gifts, the love of said boss, and when he says no to his boss, one time after 10 years, he gets fired, unloved, and more importantly, un-McEnroed. But he will do whatever it takes to get his job back. And I mean anything to get this job back. Because he doesn't want to lose his job. I mean, this is like literally the best job you could have. He goes to the office and sits there and just waits for his boss to tell him to do something.
Yep.
And then he does it.
That's it.
And he gets a mansion, he gets a hot wife, and he gets anything he wants. Like,
sweet.
This literally was the best job. That's what I want to do. Sometimes I might have to have sex with my boss or, whatever. But I get a mansion and a sweet car and, anything I want.
Yeah, it's a fair trade-off. Yeah. More than fair, really.
I think so. So story 2 has a cop whose wife was missing on a deserted island, I think, and thought lost. But when she returns unexpectedly, he thinks she's replaced by someone or something else. With a videotape scene better than any videotape scene that has ever been made in the history of movies. And maybe Bryce will talk a little bit about that videotape scene. I'm not sure. And a whole testing that he puts her through makes you wonder if he is crazy or is he correct. But all the while, the story goes places you never see coming and gets weirder and more hilarious as the story progresses. Now, story 3.
Yes.
The last story is, I think, a sex cult mystery where Jesse and Emma are looking to find a twin who can bring people back to life. That has a surprise ending that is too good to believe, and where we get the coolest dance from Emma Stone you have ever seen, which also happens to be in the trailer. So if you see the dance in the trailer, it's kind of at the end of the movie, but it's worth the wait to get there. All of these stories are woven by weird and wacky characters, events, and concepts that make big reveals that make any M. Night Shyamalan movie look like child's play compared to these ones that Yorgos pulls off. Even though I was kind of tired and exhausted when we got out of the cinema at 1:20 in the morning, I laughed a lot and wanted this movie to never stop. I was exhausted. I don't know how I stayed up But I could have stayed up for another 2 hours. This movie was Mondo. I've got unpacking to do, but what do you got to say about kinds of kindness?
Yeah, Yorgos Lanthimos. He's just. I don't understand how he can just come up with such original stuff every time. None of his movies look anything like the previous one.
No,
they're all completely different.
Yeah,
he's just like he's kind of amazing. There's no director on the planet that makes such different stuff every single time.
Yeah, I mean, some of the people that we have is Undoubted. Like, you think of P.T. Anderson or Wes Anderson or any of the Andersons.
Yes.
Like, they have a style.
There's a style, and it's there.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a style.
No.
He's like, you compare 5 different films. You show someone 5 different films of his.
Yeah.
And there's not... Maybe you can make a case for the absurdism between, like, The Lobster and this... I mean,
yeah. Also, like, I mean, there's a little bit of absurd in Killing of a Sacred Deer
there
as
is,
well. Like,
there is.
Maybe the absurd, it's
the
almost...
absurd humor is there for the most part in most of them, but they're all so different.
Like, I think there's always a tongue very firmly placed in cheek.
Yeah.
In every single one of his movies. And the humor is very subversive.
It's subversive. It's subtle at times. Sometimes it's so in your face, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it actually makes
and it can go from
awkward.
like one spectrum to the one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum in like within
seconds.
Within seconds. This movie was absolute genius. Every single frame was enjoyable. Like there's not many times where you sit in a movie and you're just absolutely giddy to be watching this movie through the entire thing, and it's so funny. It's like, this is comedy.
Yeah.
This is how comedy should be.
It's very dark black comedy. Like, it's very, like, all the things that are happening in it. There's some fucked up weird shit that are happening to these people. Yeah. And some of it's terrible.
Oh, absolutely. But it's hilarious.
But it's hilarious, especially when, like, they have this cult that they're in one of the stories, and, like, it's kind of a cult, but at the same time, it's like this journey that they have to do, and you don't even know why the journey.
Well, and that's the whole thing with every one of these stories. You're introduced to characters, you know the characters, but you're not 100% sure of what the situation really is.
Yeah,
because you're not 100% sure of how, like in the first story, how is this job like happening, and
how does he make money?
What is it, and how has he got so much money that he can make all these things happen? Yeah. Like, you don't know, and it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't,
because it's so damned entertaining.
But that's, I think, again, like, because he's poking fun at society a lot, at his films. This one is like the ultra rich, right? Like, he's just pointing at the ultra rich. Is just like, they have so much money, they can hire people to just do whatever they want when they want them to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and even the end of that one, he climbs into bed with them and says, I had faith in this one. It's like I'm keeping this one. It's like 10 years and he's back. Yeah. But some of the things that I had listed, I want to pack.
Anyways, I haven't given my rating yet.
Oh yeah, no, it's Mondo, because it's obvious.
Yeah, and Jesse Plemons just continues to blow me away every time he's on screen. I just love this guy. But yes, this movie was Mondo.
And it's funny because both of them, I think we had Plemons on at one time on Mesmerizing, but he got punted early in his career. And so did Emma. Well, Emma went up against
I don't remember, but
Olivia Colman. So
well, that's like, rough.
Yeah, that's rough against anybody. Let's face it.
Which was in a Yorgos Lanthimos movie.
Yeah, it wasn't a Yorgos Lanthimos movie. But the videotape scene, we have to talk about the videotape scene.
Okay.
So there's in the one scene where the cop is, he's got a partner, and they're very, 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 very close. Mm-hmm. And you don't know yet that Emma Stone's character, who is his wife in it, that she's actually missing. You don't know that. Like, you think she's dead. The way that they're referring to her
they're kind of referring
is that she's probably dead. And so they go to dinner together.
He really wants to watch this video.
Yeah, he keeps saying, is it okay if we watch the video together? And they're like, they're kind of going like, they're kind of like,
be a little
I'm kind of a
uncomfortable
little
with that.
uncomfortable, and we're kind of just sitting there going, like, hey, what video could cause this much discomfort? So they go and sit down in the video room, and it's a group sex scene with the four of them. Of course, Emma Stone's not there. It was literally the best scene. Like it comes like these are the kind of reveals that M. Night was kind of known for, but when you see the way Yorgos does it, it's just so much more brilliant. Yes. Oh my God, yeah. So that's one. The scene where, so again, same short in this one. The shorts were probably all about an hour each, bringing it to 3 hours, roughly. So there's a scene, where he thinks his wife is not his wife.
Yes.
So he's trying to test her.
Oh.
And so he asks her, he says, you know what? I want you to he's like, do you want me to make you something? Yeah. I want you to cut your thumb off and then cook it up for me and I'll eat it with some cauliflower.
Yes.
And then you kind of think, okay, well, obviously she's going to leave him or whatever.
Yeah.
No, she does it.
Just chops her thumb off.
Just chops her thumb off and serves it to him with some cauliflower. Actually, it looked like a really nice meal.
Then, of course, after chopping your thumb off, you're gonna faint because that's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, she faints, but when she comes through, she fries it up and serves it to him.
Yeah, she wraps her hand up and away she goes.
He didn't even eat it though.
Yeah. The other thing is the characters in each, even though there's got that quirkiness to it, they're all so different in every single one. Like each one of them, every single person that's in every movie is in every other movie. Yeah. And sometimes they're smaller bit parts, sometimes they're not. Bigger. But all the way it's Plemons and Stone that are the primary characters in each one of them. And then the second most secondary would be what's his face?
What's his face? Willem Dafoe?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Good old what's his face?
He's in it a lot.
Yeah, he's like the secondary character for the three stories.
He kind of
Did you not love the piano though? Like the whole musical score is this one piano.
Yeah.
And it's like there's times where he's just like banging on the piano. And then sometimes it's just like bing. It's like one note. But I've never seen that, and it transformed in it. To me, that was the tie-in between all of the movies was the piano. It was the score was the tie between them all together because none of them are related.
No.
Like here I thought there's going to be a way he's going to tie them all together. No, he just, made 3 shorts and wanted to make a movie out of it. He had some of the best actors on the planet in the movie. Why not?
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Just so good.
Yeah, well, we'll go through him on the list, which we weren't going to talk about because I think that may have made it for him. And seeing as how Murray hasn't seen 2 back-to-back and reviewed it,
good.
We might be safe. All right. So, the second movie that we went to see, probably the biggest film, maybe, I'm going to guess. It played at the most cinemas, maybe, is A Quiet Place Day One.
I don't think anybody went to it.
Maybe.
Oh, A Quiet Place Day One, I'm all out of. Yeah, no.
Were you thinking Horizon?
Yeah, I was thinking Horizon.
Oh, yeah, that's not the biggest. Okay, so first off, the Murman gave it a meh.
Okay.
Just so you know. So, buddy road movies are not my favorite.
I do know that.
What's that you say? A Quiet Place? The road trip? Yes. This was a buddy road movie wrapped in a quiet place backdrop. What makes this one different than all other road trip buddy movies is this one had an awesome cat named Frodo. Although, in Lord of the Rings buddy road trip movie, we did get a Frodo, but he's not a cat. So that makes this the only way that that's different is because both Frodos, one's a human. Well, one's not a human. One's actually a hobbit. And the other's a cat. So, but also, this has the most beautiful and mesmerizing person in the world as its primary star, Lupita Nyong'o, who, at one point in my life, I need to marry her because I'm so madly in love with her, who happens to be dying of cancer when day one happens. This takes us on a journey to hopefully get us to enjoy a dying woman's final wish of having the best pizza in New York City, as far as she's concerned, before she either succumbs to her cancer or evil creatures from outer space devour her. She eats pizza or pizza face alien eats her. Let's face it. Not every scene with the CGI in this is great. And it's not necessarily the greatest CGI you're ever going to see in any film. But what this film does is it captivates you with its amazing quietness in a very picturesque landscape of New York, which never has quiet any time when you're in New York. There's always a siren, there's always a this, there's that. So that alone, like the cinematography, the green screen, the scenery in this is fantastically brilliant. Along with that, it has characters you deeply feel for and takes two unlikely people who normally would never interact, come together and share a journey that both are equally supported by an emotional support animal who happens to be named Frodo. This film is bleak, it's full of dread, but also full of hope and caring for our fellow man/person. It's a quiet place when it needs to be, but also a film that takes this franchise to a completely different place, a place that the other two in this franchise were not. It happens to be a Mondo. I love this film, and there are two amazing, well-developed characters and their buddy road trip, which I normally don't give buddy road trip movies anything but a high, man, if it's possible. So, yeah, and the suspense was also so well done. I love this film. I loved everything about it. Especially loved Lupita Nyong'o because it's a character for her, again, that is different than anything else she's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, I really did. Yeah, I did.
I like Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Did you like Frodo?
Not really.
It's because you're a dog person.
I found this movie just boring.
Yes,
and
I loved it.
I also found it's one of these deals where just don't show the monsters that early because
we already know the monsters though.
But they just did nothing for me.
The monsters weren't even really in it.
They were in it too much.
They were in it, but they're not really the story.
Plus, let's maybe, if you're gonna put Jaimin Hansu in a movie, maybe put him in a movie. Like what was that? He was in it for 3 seconds?
Yeah, and then
he was in it a little bit at the beginning going shh.
Yeah.
And then he was in it at the end
that was a bit of bait and switch because I thought it was gonna be the two of them. Well, in case you didn't know, Djimon Hounsou is also in the second one.
Yeah, I did know that.
Okay, just so you...
I was aware of that.
Okay, good, just so you know. Yeah. So now we know where he came from.
Honestly, I thought this was terrible. I hated it. I didn't like anything about it. I don't understand how you can find this Mondo.
I loved it. I loved every single thing about it. I loved her development of her character. I love the fact that she was dying of cancer. The whole story is her. It's just her journey to get her pizza. It's a story about finding the best pizza and getting to see it. I think the characters were so well developed. And
the ending was completely predictable.
Yeah,
and
it was. But also, I'm glad that they did it. It's predictable, but other franchises might not have ended it that way. They would have done something stupid like, let's find a cure for cancer. The aliens spit on her and she was cured of cancer. I loved everything about this movie.
I was just so disappointed in this. I did not connect with any of it.
What?
It was not good.
So you didn't find her character arc was interesting at all?
Not really.
Huh. See, I loved it.
She was the only thing I liked in it, and she was in it the whole time.
Yeah, it's all her.
It's all her.
See, to me, it wasn't
it was all the things going.
Movie.
It wasn't, and maybe all the things going on around her. But just from you're talking about this giant character arc, I didn't really see that. I just saw.
Yeah. I mean, she's dying of cancer. She's angry at the world.
Yeah.
And they
show
her
she's dying of cancer, and she's accepted it.
She's accepted it, and you know what? It's a journey. Maybe you haven't been around enough people dying of cancer. I guess.
I wish that were true, Jim. I wish that were true.
Okay, so to me, I thought it was good,
but it's not.
And that because of that reason. Yes. I loved her arc. I thought that her journey to get that pizza and where she went with it, and the fact that he was along for the ride. Frodo was there the whole time. Frodo was the second, in my opinion, the second star of this. I loved Frodo. Yeah, there was nothing about this movie I would have changed. Not 1 inch of it.
I would have just changed one thing.
What's that? You would have made it better?
I would have just not made it at all.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I'm not normally a fan of sequels, but like I look at this one as, I didn't even really think of it as a Quiet Place. There was some Quiet Place moments, but it was a dying person of cancer trying to get the last pizza before she drops dead.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
And then she didn't even get the pizza. So,
and
then she realized that the best pizza is not necessarily the pizza itself, but who you're eating the pizza with. So, yeah.
Is that what she realized?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, were you even watching this movie?
I watched it.
Okay. Apparently that was obvious to me, but.
Yeah. Didn't like it.
Okay. Well, Murray predicted that you wouldn't like it, so
well, Murray was right.
Probably because you kind of gave a big sigh when we talked about you give too much away to the merman when we're seeing him.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, yeah, there we go. So, you know what? I'm kind of happy we both were on either ends of the spectrum of that one.
Like I just did not. And I did not like the cast other than Lupita Nyong'o. I did not like what's his name?
The nurse dude or the guy that was with her?
I like Alex Wolff and everything.
Oh, okay.
He's awesome. The nurse dude is good.
Yeah.
But Joseph Quinn is the Eric. Is it Eric? I think it was Eric.
Yeah, Eric. Yeah, Joseph Quinn. I didn't mind him at all.
Yeah,
I kind of thought he was dorky, kind of a geek. He was a lost boy that's, in New York City. He's a Londoner who's going to end up dying in a country that's not his own. I thought his arc was also great.
No.
Yeah. And I don't like... Maybe that's why I like this movie, because it's not like a traditional buddy road trip movie. Maybe that's
I don't even know why you're calling it a buddy road trip movie.
It wasn't. That's exactly what it was.
They just walked around a little bit.
That's what a road trip movie is. A buddy where they're like weren't buddies, and then they became buddies, and then they walked around and traveled. It's like a road trip movie. Except instead of them being in a car, they're road tripping through walking through New York.
I didn't understand why he was following her like a puppy either.
Because he was a complete idiot. You saw his anxiety. That's the other thing. That the cat helped him to.
I understand that the cat helped.
So
and
he was anxiety.
He was following the cat.
She basically saved his life. And then he got to save her life, and then Frodo saved their lives, and there was a lot of life saving. He liked it. This movie's great. I think everybody should see it in the movie theaters, potentially in IMAX, because it would have even been better.
You make it sound really good.
Because it is really good.
But it wasn't.
You know what? I'm going to go see it again, because we're only seeing 2 new movies this weekend. All right, so here's the real nugget that we've all been waiting for this movie to come to cinemas. I want to say for...
Nobody's been waiting for this.
What? What are you talking about? Do you know what people are rating this on IMDb, Bryce?
Like 2?
No. Are you ready for this?
I am. There's no way it's above a 6.
It is a 7.1.
Oh, bull crap.
Yep. So Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1. Now, so this was exactly what I expect that it was going to be. Kevin Costner trying to spew his ego onto the screen for 3 solid hours. The story was like a movie version of Kevin Costner's retelling of Little House on the Prairie, but it was Costner styled. The scenery is beautiful. In fact, if it wasn't for the scenery, there would be absolutely nothing about this film that was worth seeing at all. But was this even a film? I pose that to you all. The acting, for the most part, in this is completely brutal, with terrible dialogue, but mostly the script. It's like it's assuming every single person watching was a complete idiot, and every person in the movie was also a complete idiot, who's saying each line of dialogue as an idiot would. The story is nothing new, but what makes it worse is that the music score is as canned and TV unlistenable as humanly possible. And it was made, every scene which this was in 2 times longer than it should have been, which made it 2 times worse. On top of every scene being 2 times longer, it was 20 times more fakely, I'm putting this in heavy quotes, overly dramatic than any film version of a Western scene prior to this film. Even the actors that have super talent, and I mean super talent, the absolutely once mesmerizing Will Patton is completely wasted, and his character, even he doesn't even know how to act in this movie. I hated every single frame of this movie. Watching this for 3 hours was possibly the worst 3 hours I've ever spent in the cinema in my entire life. I pose that this is not a movie and should not be marketed as one. It is a mini-series like Roots or Shogun or the Holocaust, mini-series from the 70s if no one's aware of that. This ultimately was just the same as watching a TV show pilot on a big screen. A TV series that treats its viewers like they have no knowledge of history and how the West was colonized. This truly was a horrible experience, and seeing Costner as an almost 70-year-old as an action star love interest was also horrific and unbelievable. On top of that, they were I guess practicing how many different terms you could have for the indigenous community, because they had a different term every 5 seconds in this film. And we are in a dust bowl, and yet we have this chosen blonde girl with a white dress that stays white way too long, or even if it should be white at all. Plus, forced love interest with Sam Worthington's character, a scene with this teenage indigenous boy who's walking over to this revenge crew as they're lying on the ground was the worst continuity shot in the history of film history. Plus, he's going to shoot a bow and arrow at the guy with this gun, and more and more and more and more and more. I could go on for 3 hours talking about every single scene and how it was broken down to be so completely awful. This film was the most horrible of all rages. It was a TV show. It was a horrible TV show. It was a pilot. It was a horrible, terrible rage of a pilot. And it was just the most terrible thing I've ever seen. I absolutely hated every single thing about this, except the cinematography. Now, what'd you think about it?
I didn't even know what was going on. It was jumping through so many characters. There was like 40 characters, and apparently they're all important.
Because this is a 5-point series.
But that's all this was 3 hours of introducing you to 40 characters. There's no story. We're just getting introduced to like 40 characters. But even the story is
But
then we get
stupid.
introduced to these characters, and I still don't know anything about them. I know they're annoying for the most part. I know that the dialogue is just probably as bad a written dialogue as I've seen in the movies in a while. And it was this weird information dump that at the end there was so much of it that I didn't even remember any of it, because it was scene after scene after scene just introducing me to this guy and this girl and that guy and this girl, and then jumping back to them and then jumping to this other thing. There must have been about 47 different stories going on in this. And how in the hell are these even going to tie together? And who the hell cares? Like, I'm not going to remember any of them by the time part 2 comes out. And part 3 and part
coming
4.
out.
There's going to be 4 parts to this.
Yeah,
thing.
we are not seeing this part 2 in cinema because this is not a movie.
It's like
this is a TV show.
Well, yeah, this is a miniseries.
Yeah, it's not a TV. It's not a movie. It's a TV show.
Yeah, and it's a bad TV show.
It's like this. The fact that this has a 7.1 out of maybe IMDb's rating out of 100 now. Is that why it's a 7.1?
I don't know how it could be it's not out of 100.
Like this is I guess what people who like Yellowstone, I don't understand Yellowstone either personally. Yeah. But like if people like Westerns, maybe they'll like this. But you can't tell me this dialogue was made for people to have some original thought.
Yeah,
it's just horrible.
The IMDb rating is mostly the public and
the people that went to see this.
Yeah, and I don't understand how they could give this such a good rating. I will say that I was kind of curious because I hated this so much that I'm like, okay, let's just look at a couple of critics and see what they thought of it, because I was like,
and that's not normally something you do.
No, it's not something you do, but I was so curious because I'm like, this has
so
got to be
horrible.
absolutely just blasted by everybody, because I know that something this bad could not possibly be. And you know what? I was quite pleased to see that the critics are absolutely slamming it too, because it is garbage.
It's so
and they're out and out saying it just like we are. This is garbage. This is this giant passion project for Kevin Costner, and there is no direction to it. It is just it's
a TV show.
Yeah, he just threw so much at this.
They could have made this 3-hour movie into 3, like a pilot and 2 other series. So this could have been a 10-part series. And, when you hear, because when we go to the movies, they actually have the actors talk about the films now in front of it, because they're kind of, maybe that thinking that people want to see that. And sometimes it's kind of cool.
Is it?
But they're like, a couple of them, like Luke Wilson and them, were talking about the fact, yeah, Kevin's vision is so brilliant on this because, this is what it was really like. No, this is not nothing
it was
about
not.
this was anything about what the real West was like.
No, this is...
None of it. No one would wear a white dress in the wild, like a pure white dress that they're living in a fucking dust bowl.
Yeah.
And this little girl who has no character development all of a sudden is now the darling of this entire army. Like, it was just, every single scene made me angry.
And then what is with the 5 minutes at the end of it of it's like a 5-minute trailer of what's to come at the end of it.
Like, I was wondering, is it a trailer, or is it like now it's kind of fast forwarded through all that and then we start?
No, that's all going to be stuff in part 2. I guarantee it. It's just that was so bizarre though. Yeah. It's like, what in the hell is going on?
But you know what I did when my wife and I, because I have to give a big props to my wife.
By the way, this was a rage.
Oh yeah, thank you. I have to give props to my wife, because when you're not around and I force her to go see these movies, I try and think of ones that maybe, but every single one I take her to seems to be like they get worse. Yeah. The whole time in this movie, she was going, what the fuck is this? Like, she did not shut up through the whole movie. And I'm like, I'm perfectly happy with you talking to me, because listening to you is making me have a little bit of joy. I'm just like, oh my God, this is so terrible. And coming out of it, she was like, people, do not see this movie.
Yes.
Like, if you really like Kevin Costner, which would surprise me why anybody could, then, go watch his TV shows. And when this gets on TV, maybe watch it. But even then, I'm saying it's terrible, because it's awful. All right, well, let's go from that to maybe a movie that's maybe not as terrible. It's called Protocol 7. Wow, this film, which may, for all intensive purposes, have valuable technical data about mumps vaccines, and maybe all vaccines, for all I know. But what was needed for this to be valuable for anyone who sees it is an actual documentary with actual facts, proving facts. Because this was actually more like a retelling of this, for lack of a better word, story, which was the absolute worst film for every possible reason you can imagine. The story is weak. The backup for the arguments are basically one situation. And again, it may be correct, but the acting by every single person in this is horrible, as well as the direction, the production values, and everything that makes up a real movie. On top of that, you have Eric Roberts as your star, which he's not even really in it that long. It goes from scene to scene, telling basically just a five-page dissertation of a court case about Merck, a vaccine manufacturer, and even says it made this movie only to get us viewers to do research and bring us wisdom. Okay, that may be valuable. I'm not gonna argue with that. But I kind of wished I watched a 90-minute, 5-page dissertation that I read on screen, and asking me to read stuff online than succumbing to this horrible, horrible, horrible excuse for a film. This film was horrific and painful, and I will remember the name Andrew Wakefield, the director and writer, and hopefully we'll never have to see another one of his films ever again. I thought that after seeing the Kevin Costner movie, there wasn't possibly another movie I could see, let alone on the same weekend, but in theaters this year that could be possibly as bad as the Kevin Costner movie. Well, guess what, Kevin Costner? This was worse than your movie, and it's called Protocol 7.
Yeah, it was awful. It's just I don't even know how to describe it. It is an absolute just propaganda machine. It's trying to paint all vaccinations with one brush because of one company that, and it even admits that it doesn't really have all the facts. So
yeah,
I don't know what to even believe in this movie. I mean,
did you go to the website, by the way?
No,
I did.
I'm not going to the website. I don't want to be. These guys are. I mean, if ever there was a movie with just the most in-your-face agenda that's ever been, like, the fact that it's limited release is because they're just trying to, like, I can't imagine anybody distributing this like widespread because it's so awful. The acting's awful. Everybody in it is awful. It just shows you how desperate Eric Roberts is that he would even be in this.
I know.
But maybe he's a big-time anti-vaxxer. I don't know.
Maybe. I imagine that anybody that isn't an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That this is the movie that if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're going to think it's the greatest thing that's ever been, and you're going to tell all your friends about it, and you're going to try to get as many people to watch it as you can. Proof. But it's not the proof, and it's one situation, and even at that, we don't know all the facts there either.
No.
And it's just wrong that this gets made.
Okay, can we just talk about the lawyer in the I don't know who that actor was.
What, frumpy guy with bald guy that was sitting behind cider?
Him. He was
he was terrible.
It was
too.
the other guy.
Oh, the one that was his.
I object. I've never heard anybody say I object as badly in a form of acting. I'm just like, what is happening right now?
Anyways, just avoid this film at all costs. I don't think we should really talk about it anymore. It's not good. It's just not good.
It's a rage? Is that
it's a rage. As you say, just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, after watching Horizon, here comes Protocol 7.
All right, well, normally we don't like to do this, but because usually we like to end on a juicy rage, but we're going to talk about... I don't even know what you thought about Daddio because we didn't see this together. No. We also saw Daddio. So, another road trip New York movie. Man, how convenient is that? But this time, it's in a cab with the mesmerizing Sean Penn, which he is absolutely mesmerizing in this film. But what it doesn't have is it doesn't have Frodo.
No, it doesn't.
The whole story takes place in the cab as Penn drops Dakota Johnson off from the airport to her place in Midtown. The dialogue feels real and has vulnerability from both actors, albeit Johnson is completely destroyed by Penn's brilliance. There's a sharing of some of their most personal moments in their lives, and mixed in you get to really know what each of them is coming from, but it felt as if I watched and I still didn't fully get developed characters. I'm not sure why, and maybe you have an explanation for that, but I felt that we got information, but the characters still didn't feel developed enough for me. At least I didn't feel it. The story and conversations was pretty good, and it ended kind of good for what this movie was. I didn't hate it. It was a meh.
Yeah, Sean Penn is absolutely brilliant in it. The dialogue is really, really good. I can't say that at any point when I'm watching it I was bored at all.
Right.
Considering that this whole thing just took place in a cab, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It was very well written, but maybe I got to get over this Dakota Johnson thing, but I cannot stand her. And this is as good as she's ever been.
Yeah,
but
sure.
she still annoyed the hell out of me. And
but was it just
I can't
her?
get
Like,
over it.
It can't have been just her. Like you must have felt like that. I felt as I was watching it. Okay, yeah, this is the story, but I didn't feel. And there's a point in the movie, and this is my test. It's the Jim Crybaby test.
Yeah.
When we get to the point where I should have been crying, I wasn't crying.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I didn't feel the characters were as developed. Like,
well,
am I missing something? Like, the dialogue was there, but I don't think the
dialogue was
were.
there, but I think the characters were developed enough for two people that are just meeting each other. So I don't, how are you going to develop the characters anymore in a conversation between two people in a cab that have just met each other? Because why would they reveal more than?
But they did reveal.
They did reveal
they got
a lot.
To the point they revealed, but that's what I mean is, and I don't know if it's because it's in a cab.
I think it's because Dakota Johnson's poopy.
It could be, but honestly,
in my opinion, I didn't have a problem with the character development myself. I thought it was fine. I thought I knew both of them good enough. The thing is, I like this movie, and I think I would have loved this movie if anybody else was cast opposite Sean Penn. I really do. I don't think that this Dakota Johnson is a very good actress. I can't, and to have her on screen with Sean Penn was almost ridiculous because he just destroys her with every line.
Yeah.
This
is like again top of Penn's game on this.
Yeah, and he's so good, but.
And maybe it just shines. Like it's like when you have any super strong actor and there's only the two of them in the whole movie, really. So,
but you know what? At the end of the day, Dakota Johnson wasn't so bad that it destroyed it for me.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was a meh, but I think it could have been better with someone else. And as I said, with your character, I had no problem with how well developed the characters were, though. I don't know.
I didn't feel it. I don't know. Like they had the dialogue, but I didn't feel emotionally connected. I don't know why. I didn't feel like it was like, I'm enjoying this dialogue. I kind of understand the words that are coming out of their mouths, but I wasn't enjoying. I didn't have the feels through the entire conversation, and so that's a measurement stick for me.
I know it is
in regards to character development. In contrast,
see, the problem with me
feels,
is I never feel anything anyways. So
yeah, that's true.
So.
You're soulless. What can I say?
Exactly. Huh. But yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, it was a meh.
It was a meh.
I tend to agree with you.
I really like Sean Penn.
Well, okay. So
by the way, this is the best Sean Penn's been in like probably 10 years.
Yeah,
like I thought he was really, really good in this.
Sean Penn hasn't been in a lot.
No, he hasn't.
While,
but he's always good. But this was next level. I just wish he had someone to bounce off of. That was up to the task.
Up to the Sean Pennism.
Yeah. Anyways.
Like maybe Veronica Cartwright.
Maybe.
Right?
Although she would not really fit the role.
Yeah, based on what the role is, she's a little too old for the role.
Just a little bit.
Maybe Lupita Nyong'o. If Lupita Nyong'o was in this.
Yeah, maybe.
Also in New York, she got to the boat dock. Left Frodo with the dude that got on the boat, and then she got in a cab with Sean Penn, and that's what happens.
Anyways,
that would have been good. So the only one that we were at odds with was A Quiet Place.
Yeah, we pretty much agreed other than that.
Yeah, and we miss Marie, who's going to be gone for a little while. So get used to that, people. All right, we have a trailer. So. Aaron and Kevin from the podcast That Wouldn't Die, we're going to play their trailer right now.
All right, go ahead.
Welcome to the podcast That Wouldn't Die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What up? What up?
Well, each week we'll explore the classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a little comedic twist.
We will ask those important questions like, why don't they get out of the haunted house the first time they see the ghost or the demon?
Why do people feel like, hey, there's been a spooky disappearance, but I'm going to investigate myself, even though I have no investigative background?
Or, why didn't I realize I was dead the whole time?
These important questions and many others we will get to the bottom of. So check us out each week at the podcast that wouldn't die.
Be there or be square.
Oh, those boys are fun.
All right, then.
Temperature rising. Vision blurring. Rage taking over.
Sweet, sweet rage. Oh, you know, my rage this week, in case you hadn't guessed it, is you went to a cult, a nudist cult,
Wasn't a
in the middle of
nudist cult.
BC, and you didn't take me, because
Yeah.
you know me and my nudist cults. Like, if I'm going to join a cult, it's going to be either A, a sex cult, or B, a nudist cult. And then you could have just left me there.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty cool though. It went down into the valley where the disc golfing was, because we were playing some disc golf.
Yeah, you were.
First thing you see is this giant vagina sculpture,
What?
and I'm like,
Did you get a picture? Did you get a picture you could share with us?
no.
I can post it on our social medias.
Yeah, we weren't taking pictures. We weren't no phones. Didn't do anything. We just played and
Just got back to nature.
got back to nature.
Took your clothes off
went to the
and
river.
started disc golfing.
Hung out with the dog. It was a good weekend.
Nice.
Even though it rained more than it would have been nice, and there were a lot of freaking mosquitoes.
You know what? You go to the woods, you're gonna find mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Did you see anything that had a violent nature in the woods while you were there?
No, didn't. There was lots of goats though, because they have goats there.
Oh, did they do goat yoga?
Yeah,
Did you
that's
do
why
goat
that's why
yoga?
you're supposed to keep the dog on a leash, because of the goats. But we didn't really
Nice.
keep the dog on a leash. The goats were up the hill. You did bring the goats down on Canada Day though,
Sweet.
and the goats came down to have some to eat, and it was kind of funny. He's like, "Come on, goats, come up the hill, have something to eat." The goats were not. It's like, "Come on, goats, what are you doing? You're going the wrong way." So then he had to come down and lead them up the hill. It was pretty entertaining.
Sounds awesome. Yeah,
It
so
really was.
so I mean, I'm really not too upset about that because that sounds like a pretty good trip. But
It was a good trip. And then-
ultimately, my rage is Kevin Costner and that protocol. Like any form of conversion film.
Yeah,
I am
you know
not
what?
happy
Give me
about.
the facts, but don't sit there and just absolutely twist things and try to convert me to your way of thinking. I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody is that dumb. But don't make a movie like you know what it is? To me, it was like, I've got a weekend, so I'm just going to get my friends to film this terrible dialogue that is just a dissertation. And instead of like an actual documentary on this, would have probably taken 3 to 4 years of research and development
Yeah.
and backstory. But it's like, it's so way much easier. I got a couple $1 million and I want people to be anti-vaxxers like me. So I'm going to make this movie and then just put my website on the end of the movie and say, you know what? Yeah, I know this is a terrible movie, but just go to my website and I'll convert you.
Yeah.
And then Kevin Costner, like, stay on TV where you belong. That's it. Those are my two and a half rages.
There you go. That's fair. Jim's pointing at Yorgos Lanthimos' picture to me for some reason. I'm like, I'm not going to rage about Yorgos Lanthimos. What's wrong with you?
Rage can be a positive rage. You're raging boner for Yorgos Lanthimos.
Really?
Or we're going to talk about Yorgos after the rages.
Oh, that you're just trying to tell me. Okay, yeah. I've already got that pulled up. What am I new?
You seem new to me every week.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, my rage is pretty much the same as yours. The fact that Protocol 7's a thing. It's just like, dear God, just give me the facts. Don't sit there and try to convince me of anything. And it's just, I hate movies with
not even hidden.
Well, it's not even hidden. And here's the worst part: is they kept on saying how they kind of pride themselves that, oh yeah, we're showing both sides of the story. No, you're not. You're showing one thing and pounding it and basing it on one incident and trying to paint that with as if that's how every
entire drug
community is. And
I didn't know, what again? You don't, when movies like this, you don't even know the facts.
No.
But what would surprise me is that the CDC or whoever makes the judgment on medications would allow people to self-test. It's like, oh yeah, all of our tests are good.
Yeah,
okay, we can, isn't that done by a third party?
It's gotta be. I'm confused by it all.
Yeah,
so. But if you're trying to tell this story the way you want to tell this story, then that's not how it does. They just test it themselves and they go, hey, trust us.
Yeah,
and then they go, yeah, okay, we trust you. No, that's not how it works.
Let's go make some Spectrum kids.
Yeah.
Spectrum babies.
Let's go make some Spectrum babies. So yeah, that's that.
Rage subsiding. Pulse slowing. Anger fading.
All right, we got a bit of a change up here just because, we were going to have... Murray had a charge for us to watch, but we're going to wait until Murray gets back before we add the list. However, we've been waiting for Yorgos to have his most recent movie come out. So we're just going to go through these quickly to make sure we got 8.
Well, I think we do have 8 because we almost had 8 before, but we literally couldn't find anywhere to watch My Best Friend, if memory serves me correct.
Right,
that was what held us up.
And also,
so this is actually his 9th.
Yeah, but also he doesn't list that movie.
As his. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So here we go. So let's go backwards in time. Kinds of Kindness, we both gave Mondo. Murray gave it a meh.
Who cares?
So far, if you raged, then it would be change things a bit. Poor Things was Mondo. The Favorite was Mondo. Killing of a Sacred Deer was Mondo. The Lobster. Alps is Mondo. Dogtooth is Mondo. And Canetta was meh. So that's 8.
That's 8.
Right?
Yeah. We watched Canetta.
Yeah, we did.
It was an interesting little watch.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if we do finally ever get to see My Best Friend, which I completely want to see.
Yeah.
With you.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
Yes. Making the connection, Jim.
Yeah. So then it won't matter because it's 9 back
It's 9 back anyways. It could be total poo-poo and it doesn't matter.
It could be the worst movie we've ever seen, but he doesn't count it as part of his vision because it was a shared directorial event.
That's fair.
So, and just so you know, he has something in development called the Hawkline Monster, which sounds awesome.
The Hawkline Monster.
Yes, and Begonia.
Begonia.
Which sounds like a flower to me.
Huh.
And guess who's in it?
Jesse Plemons
and Emma Stone.
Yeah.
And then the Hawkline Monster, we have no clue yet. But it's a fantasy horror western. So we'll have a good comparison between Yorgos Lanthimos' vision of a western and Kevin Costner's vision of a western.
Begonia sounds awesome.
Doesn't it? 2
conspiracy-obsessed young men kidnap the high-powered CEO of a major company, convinced that she is an alien intent on destroying planet Earth.
I'm already dialed in.
This is going to be fantastic.
Wait.
Once again, he's doing something completely different.
He's doing sci-fi now.
Whoa.
Well, I guess The Lobster's kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, kind of.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
Yorgos Lanthimos,
it'll be-
you are
it'll be
officially
brilliant.
undoubted.
Gee, what a shock.
Yeah, no surprise. All right.
What a shock.
Thank God we've been waiting forever for that.
Yeah. so-
Right. You
is
got
that
anything
it?
else? Yeah, I think that's it. We don't have anybody to. We're not going to be seeing any new movies until the Mur comes back. So yeah, that's it. We got no Rage or Dare this week, but Casey's back next week. Murray won't be because it's the Calgary Stampede.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's all we got.
All right.
So, thanks, Ragers, for listening. Thanks to the extended Film Rage family, who you can find in our show notes. Thanks to Casey, our god of rage, from the Nerdy Photographer, for the voice of Rage or Dare. And as I said, Casey will be back with a rageful vengeance next week. Find us on social media everywhere at Film Rage YYC. Check out everything Film Rage at filmrageyyc.com, including our merch site for Redbubble and TeePublic. We're always wanting to make this a raging blast for all listeners, so please comment, like, and subscribe, and send us emails to filmragecalgary@gmail.com. There's to see terrible movies to fuel our rage. But no matter what you do, please, 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 pretty please, 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 make us